All right, perfect. So guys, please let me know if you can see my screen. Salma, you can see. Perfect. All right. So today's session, as I mentioned, is basically exclusive for AstroLabs community. We're basically going to be discussing leadership in business simulation. Before we start, I would like to walk you a little bit with today's roadmap and the session roadmap. So we will start with Mindshift and Eduardo introduction. Afterwards, we will go into discussion of leadership dilemmas in every startup. And then we will go ahead and test the simulation and see how the simulation works. Today, we also have a special surprise for everyone joining us on today's session. And then at last, we will leave some time, 10 to 15 minutes for any questions if you have any. So let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Mohammed Al-Zara. I'm basically an entrepreneurship consultant for startups and SMEs in Egypt and Dubai. I have worked for 18 years in Fortune 500 corporates, and basically most of the work that I have done was related to Africa and Middle East, and most of the work I did was related to new product or service introduction into the market, and also with pilot projects. With me on the session today, I will have here our friend and my partner in the business, Peter, who's going to introduce himself. So Peter, floor is yours.
Hello, welcome everybody. I'm really happy to be here with you today. So my name is Peter Slavik, and I'm representing Eduardo Business Simulation. And what we do, we teach business topics with simulations, so people can put into practice the theoretical knowledge. And we work worldwide. And one of our partners is Mindshift from Egypt, and also beyond of Egypt in the Middle East, North Africa region. So I'm happy to be here with you and share the experience and the discussions with Mohammed.
Thank you, Peter. All right, so to the audience here, what we will do next, just in a 2-minute introduction about Mindshift. So in Mindshift, our purpose is really to positively impact the lives of younger generations in MENA region. We focus a lot on young talent, on youth, and we believe so much in youth and how they can change the world, starting with our region, the Middle East, North Africa region. Our vision is simply for startups and young talent to have better market opportunities. Now, they wouldn't be able to do that unless they use the online platform, our online platform, and we use also our blended learning techniques for trainings, as well as coaching and mentorship programs. Our mission is simply to provide business and life skills programs. We know that everyone in the market could have their niche, and we, with our niche, we only focus on business acumen as well as life skills. And we want to make sure that we use this to empower the youth in our region. Our goal is simply to reach 100,000 young professionals and be able to equip them with their need as a business acumen, as well as assist 5,000 companies by the end of 2030. What we do here, we have 3 business pillars. We have the first business pillar, which is called Business Shift. This is entirely focused on startups, small to mid-sized enterprises, as well as corporate teams. And it's using the gamified simulation with Eduardo. The second program is LifeShift, and it's focusing on the undergraduates as well as the university graduates and alumni. And then the last one is entirely focused on sales and sales enablement teams for corporates. So those are the main 3 business pillars that we have. Now, before I go any further, I would love for you to actually write down just a quick line or a quick word. So you have been working with startups, or you yourself are founders and team members of startups or SMEs. Why do you think some of the startups would fail? I have here our co-host Selma. She's part of the team member. She will read the chat for me while you're basically writing down. So what are some of the reasons that you think startups would fail?
Ahmed Ali said market fit.
Market fit, okay. Product market fit, yes.
Said not the right theme. I'm sorry, Mr. Muhammad said run out of cash, not the right theme. Lack of a clear vision.
Yep.
Poor leadership from Mustafa.
Okay, okay. So so all of that is actually right. So we start with the first problem. You know, you're trying to solve an irrelevant customer problem, right? It's a product market fit or a problem solution fit where basically we're having a brilliant product, but we don't have the right audience who are going to buy this product or service from us, right? So this is the first one. The second one is financials. If you're having the business financials and operations are not quite right, then you are going to be struggling a lot. And most likely this is going to make you have your own startup going into a failure mode if that can happen afterwards. And then the third one is poor team management. Some of the, you know, as you mentioned, some of the team dynamics or leadership not being right, this is going to actually cause a struggle to startups. And the last one is really the competition themselves. Where if you're having a competition that is offering something beyond what you're offering, then most likely they are going to outcompete you. So those are the main four reasons for any startup failure. What we do here in Mindshift, we actually created something that is entirely focused on those four reasons and taking them down and trying to work to empower startups and SMEs to work on them. So our program is 48 hours, 8 weeks. Each week is 6 hours. It's blended, so it can be online or in person or both. If you are in Egypt, if you're not, it's most likely going to be online, or if you are in UAE. The basic level here, the first 4 weeks, is focused on self-awareness and team dynamics. So when we're talking about MBTI, for example, and the stages of team formation, this is the first one. In the second session, we talk about value proposition canvas. How can you make sure that you are targeting the right audience? So who's your customer? What are their pains? What they desire? And then what is your value proposition to connect with their pains? And then the third and fourth week, we talk entirely about the business model canvas. And the business model canvas, we talk about the entire operation strategically, why the business model canvas is important. We go on the second month, which is the second 4 weeks with idea testing. So now I think, Selma, you probably might want to mute and unless there is a question. We go on the advanced level with idea testing, and then afterwards we discuss leadership. And when it comes to leadership, we're having an assessment, a leadership assessment, and we do a coaching session. And the last 2 weeks of our program is really discussing the business simulation and how business simulation can take all of the first 6 weeks and what we learned in the first 6 weeks and put it into action so that we can learn from it and learn really by doing, right? So what we will do today is we will discuss the business simulation, and we are actually going to discuss the leadership business simulation. With Eduardo, we're having several case studies, right? Several business simulations that can really help the startups. So the first one is around entrepreneurship. When you're starting your own company, what are the dynamics for you to start your own company? And then business planning. So now you started, you have to have a business plan. How is that going to work? Financial management, and gives you the exposure to understand more about financial management and how it works. Change management, our favorite topic for today, leadership and how we take it, and then how we implement it also with our teams. And then sustainability, a very, very close topic to my heart. I always talk about it. How are we going to take a product-based company and make sure that we work with it and control the entire operations financially and execution? And then banking, also a banking business case for whoever is interested in banking, as well as value-based management. There are other simulations, of course, but I'm just giving you a quick overview of what Eduardo has, and we will quickly jump into the leadership. Before we go into the leadership simulation, I would love to ask you again to participate, please. So if you are in a startup, or even if you are in a company and you were in corporate, what are some of the leadership dilemmas that you have seen when it comes to leadership or management or team formation? Can you share with us again in 1 or 2 words, what are some of those? Salma, please write down.
We had the previous answer on the last question, which was skill set is lacking certain aspects. We have a new answer for this question for the leadership dilemmas, wanting to do your work, when to do the work yourself, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So not delegating and basically doing the work yourself. Okay. All right. What are some of the challenges, other challenges that you have seen with the team? Yeah.
Decisions under uncertainty.
Okay. Lack of
processes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So not, uncertainty and then, going into the entire VUCA mode where you don't know what is going on. That can actually be a dilemma as well for leaders as well as employees.
How to cover skill set missing from the core strategy. I'm sorry, from the core team.
Yep. Yep.
Miscommunication between strategy and execution.
Yep. So not having a clear alignment between what you have as a strategy and then execution and how you can execute. Yeah.
Poor governance.
What is it again? I'm sorry.
Poor governance.
Okay.
Not having enough policies and procedures.
All right. So when we go into leadership dilemmas, I wanted to share 6 points with everyone here. So some of them, and you actually quite hit the nail on the head. So the first one, when it comes to selection and review of candidates, it goes as start as that. If you're not having the right team members from the review of their competencies, it can actually cause you a conflict down the line when you're having a startup. This is one of the points. The other one is team's competency, attitude, and knowledge, right? We always go and say we hire for attitude, not for skills, right? So understanding the psychological effect of every one of the team member on the team themselves is going to be a huge factor on the team stages and how the team grow. This is the second one. Third is the work structure. How do you want to structure your team? What is the team hierarchy? Who's going to be the project manager for which project? And who's going to take the lead? And also understanding that, well, is the project manager, do they have the leadership skills or they don't? That's another thing that you really need as a startup owner, as a founder, as a team manager, you need to be thinking about when you are delegating tasks to your team. A fourth one here is situational leadership and team management. How do you work with your team to make sure that you are basically empowering them, motivating them, and in the same time, making sure that they work and do the tasks that they have to do? So situational leadership and being agile in how you work with different mentalities and different personalities in the team is actually one of the dilemmas and one of the challenges for you as a team leader. The fifth one here is you're thinking always of, I want to train my team. I want to make sure that I develop them. Sometimes we hire people and they might be, let's say 70% fit for the role that we want them to be. But then we decide to take them over, welcome them on board, and we start investing in them until they reach the point where we see that, yes, they came in to fill in this job, but they were 70% close, and we help them with training. So understanding how to develop the team is another thing for you also to think about. And then the last one here is, like one of our attendees mentioned, how to align strategy with the execution. Sometimes, especially if you're a founder, you're having a budget, and you need to control this budget to make sure that everyone in the team is basically aligned to your strategy. They do execute, and they do the operations and tasks that you have them on board to do. But in the same time, you want to make sure that all is aligned with your budget, right? So those are the 6 dilemmas that we think every startup founder is facing. So before we go into the simulation and see how those dilemmas are basically tackled within the simulation, let me ask if you guys have any inputs on any other points, or you think those are pretty much aligned to the dilemmas that you have seen in every startup. Okay, so we're good. Now let's do that. Let's go and check the simulation and see how the simulation would help us work on those 6 points. Let me take you to the simulation here. So here, as you can see, we are going on Eduardo's platform. We're going directly to the leadership simulation.
I'm sharing only the PowerPoint, so please share the other screen of the website.
Thank you. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
We can, yes.
Perfect. All right, so we're going here on Eduardo's platform. We can go directly to the leadership skills and project management simulation. We're starting. Peter, I would love for you to give us a little bit of an insight. I see here two simulations, right? Which one should I start with, the base or the advanced? Can you give us a little bit of an idea what are, where we should start?
Yes, so first a technical request, if you can a little bit zoom out with your browser, because the screen is a little bit too focused, and yeah, so in every simulation inside we see a structure. There are different versions. In this case, we have a base and advanced version. We will use the base one today. But before starting it, the user got videos. Right now, I think, just saving time, we are not watching the videos. We will brief you what the story is about. But we got introduction about our use case. So the simulated enterprise we are going to lead. We are going to be the managers of those. We also got targets we need to achieve. And we have a knowledge base around us with videos, articles, quizzes, which we can refer during the study. Right now, we are not going to check this out, but concentrate on the cases. So if you can go up, and before we go in, I like to summarize that this company we are going to simulate is a startup company. It already received some funding from investors, but still in a really early stage. And right now they are putting together a team to fulfill and do some projects. The company has roughly a year to accomplish a stage where they can go for Series A investors. And we already have a structure for the project we need to accomplish. We will see that. And that is the background. What the company is doing, this is an online ticket resale platform. There's, for example, in sport events, sometimes the funds, they buy the tickets, but then their team is not advancing to the next stage. And the idea is that they can resell the tickets with other funds, and there is a platform for it. It's absolutely fictional, but it could be true. in most of our cases, we try to have situations which are lifelike and could happen in real life. So the learners can even look around in the real life and find alternatives and think about the consequences. So right now we are starting this. I suggest to start the base, and we see two buttons before starting a new one. Whenever you run a simulation, you can always continue it. You finish it in your own way. It's a e-learning ready approach. And when you start a new simulation, you delete your history of the previous simulation. You start it from scratch. That allows the learners to repeat the exercises, but also there's no push to do it in one sit. So you can make breaks. You can do it even over days or weeks. And the replay option is fundamental for the learning process, because you can see the cause and effects. So let's jump into it. I suggest you start a base case with the new simulation, and let's see what we see here. And you will be the player today, Mohammed. So you are a learner, okay? So okay. You please tell aloud what you think about it.
Sure.
And, okay.
Sure. Thank you. All right, so we're going into the base simulation, starting a new simulation here. As Peter mentioned, we are having a business case here. We are a startup company. We're looking for a fund. We have a fund, but in order for us to grow, we need to have another fund. Now, as investors, let's say, for example, for investors to be able to go and give us money and fund us, we really need to present them more data into how the market looks like and how we are going to be growing. So here in the first phase, I think, Peter, we are starting with our labor market, where the labor market has just opened, right?
Yes, and in this case, in this base case, we are joining the company in the third period, let's say in March. So it was already started. We just sneak peek into an ongoing situation. This is why we will see we already have some colleagues. We already have some projects ongoing. And at the beginning, we got an info about the market and some other notifications. If you just quickly go through. We will come back to this, but the first is, yes, this project overview. So if you can see, there are several projects you need to consider in what order you make and what you do from market survey. If you can go down a little bit to prototype design, because it's a software for business plan preparation, and the very end is the presentation for the future investors. So you have 9 periods until you can fulfill these. And if you look at your employee part on the menu on the left, you have 2 colleagues right now. We see their photos, we see their background, and even the mood status. And it's not a secret, you cannot do the mission with 2 persons. So as it was in your leadership dilemma page, we need to look around and see what kind of capabilities are needed to fulfill the job, in this case, the projects. And then we can see what kind of resources are available. So I suggest to go to the project information and just quickly look at the project. So I give the microphone to you, Mohammed. We cannot see all the projects. You can just take it as an example, and let's take one, and then you can see what skills are there and what is in your mind as a learner, for example.
Sure. So in my mind as a learner, I would go with 2 things. First, as a founder, really, the first thing I would think about is, when I need an investment, I really need to understand the projects, as you rightly mentioned. So what sort of projects do I have, right? And then what sort of project information, in order for me to be able to understand and have some sort of human resource planning, right? So the project itself, what sort of skills does it need? When I'm hiring my team, I will always think about the team skills, but I need to understand first what are the competencies of the projects and the knowledge that I'm seeking in order for us to be hiring on. So I'll go, for example, here for the prototype design. Prototype design, it's a software, right? So I will need probably someone who's very good when it comes to software, when design thinking and innovative skills. So I need to have an IT person. Now I'll go and look quickly at the project's overview. Oh, so I need 2,400 hours. 2,400 hours until the end of the year. Most probably this is not going to be done by one person. So again,
yeah,
human
presumably
planning,
you will need some calculator around you or spreadsheets. So that's intentional because it's difficult to do it by head. I mean, 2,400 hours, how many days, how many, yeah, but you need a calculation for that. And you need to translate it to like how many FTE you need for these tasks, for example.
Exactly. So understanding the number of hours that I have until the end of the year is also going to be a factor when it comes to my hiring. Do I need one? Do I need two? Perhaps three? I don't know. There are other projects as well, right? So going into the labor market, I would need some of you guys to help me out, right? So here I do have, let's go and quickly look at the employees in the job market. So I have here Jonathan. He's an IT guy. We're looking at his CV right now. He has been working, he actually graduated from Polytechnique with an IT major, working as an IT associate. Before that, he was a trainee. So I have here Jonathan. I do have, for example, Alexander, who is more of a campaign manager. So if I'm looking for marketing, maybe this could be my guy, right? There's this guy, Greg. So Gregory is also an IT major. He has been working as an IT technician. There is Thomas, who is the quality guy. He has been working as a quality manager, total quality management specialist. I don't know, should I hire maybe Eveline? So I don't know. Peter, should we hire Eveline as an event? You know, she's an event organizer, but should we hire her as an IT specialist? I don't know.
Yeah. What I can tell you, Mohammed, is that of course this procedure you are doing, looking at the projects, looking at the candidates, it's not like a 10 minutes job. So right now we can only demonstrate of what you are doing, but when you run the simulation, you need time. You need to read through this material. I mean, the CVs also to judge what kind of mix of people you need, because for example, you haven't even looked at what are the two colleagues you have, whether they are IT oriented or marketing oriented, and also we have a budget constraint, because look at the top part of the screen. You see you have like close to €250,000, which, oh, it's great, a lot of money, but you need to finance your team and the headquarter cost for a year to get there. So obviously you cannot hire everybody. So you need to have a kind of a decision from skill point of view, mix of the team, also to put into consideration your budget, because this company has no revenues yet. It's a startup going for funding and making projects which are targeting this fundraising. So what I suggest is, let's imagine we did the pre-screening and right now we only look at the IT guys. If you go back to the market, I can tell you that we have 3 good candidates: the first one, the third one, and the very last one. So this is Jonathan. The second one you can have a look at is the guy with, yeah, that person is Gregory, and we also have the very last one is Antonio, and he looks a little bit more senior. So I suggest to start with him, because maybe you need like 2 IT guys, and as 2 of them are junior, one of them is more senior. maybe we can consider him. But what can we do with him? We need a kind of more information than just reading a CV, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell us what option you have here, and maybe even we can try this?
I think that the logical step that I would do as a user is to go for an interview. I think this guy Antonio he might be the right guy if I'm looking for a manager, but I would love to interview him. I would love to understand a little bit more about him. So when I'm doing that, I would think of, what do you consider your strengths and areas of where you need improvement? He's going to be a manager, so I'm not going to ask him about how you should handle conflict. I would ask, what skills do you think you need in order to do the job? And then how would you enrich the team? And I would love to know a little bit more on how do you imagine, no, not how, so what role do you like to play in a team? So those are the first, the 4 questions that
before you proceed, please. So we have a limit of questions. Okay, in real life you can ask all the questions, but we like to make it a little bit challenging for the user. So like, you cannot have all the information you want. It's not that, like in real life, you also have a meeting, you go into the meeting, you have some questions in your mind and you can ask them, and some of them you forget to ask or you don't get the right answer for that. So right now, this limit is simulating real life situation that you don't have unlimited time for questions. Yeah. And okay, it's not a conversational thing right now, because you submit the question, you will see the replies. So I saw in your strategy, your approach, Mohammed, that you were trying to think about what the role could be of this person, and you wanted to select questions which are a little bit unhiding some of the background of the person and experience. So let's see the results, and then you can tell whether you like it or not, or what does it mean for you.
Sure. Let's do that. All right. So I'm very accurate and precise.
Not a lot of info.
Not a lot.
Okay.
No, he's pretty, he's not talkative at all. I cannot see anything beyond the answers, whether he's going to be the right fit for the team or not. But he's telling me that he is task oriented, right? So he's more into task oriented, more focused onto the deadlines, which is a pretty good thing if I'm hiring someone to help me with the deadline that I have until the end of the year. He's telling me that every team should have a concentrated and accurate person who is always thinking of every detail. I think he could be the right guy, but honestly, I would be worried a little bit about his communication style. So I might actually give him a role, give him a job, but I really would think a lot about his communication. But the good thing is I'm hiring him as an IT person. So yeah,
let's imagine we already considered others, just to make sure we progress. We got an info down on the bottom in a gray background, that what is the, let's imagine our associate helped us to screen what is the expected. No, go back to the guide, please, to the, because there is a salary information that the expected salary of the employee is this per month. So let's imagine we ask this question, we make sure that this information is available. So when we decide whom to make an offer, we can take this into consideration. It's not a guarantee that the person is joining us, but it's a kind of a risk. I mean, like in real life, but here you have only one round. I mean, you gave an offer, you give a salary level, and then you will see whether it's joining. But let's have a quick look at other candidates. Maybe we shouldn't interview them, because in order to progress with the simulation, or you can even skip the interview if you don't want. But
yeah,
or just select some of the people.
Yeah, I'll do that. Right. So here, for example, I'll ask him the questions. I get to see what's happening here. So this is the first one.
A lot more talkative. Look at that. A lot more talkative.
Oh, yes, yes. So here he's talking a lot about him being thorough. You know, he likes to work in peaceful and quiet working environment. He's a very good team player. So again, you know, the difference is in the working style between associates, right? Here, again, we're talking about someone, you know, work cannot be successful without accuracy, planning, and implementation. He's precise, efficient, and accurate. He's well organized and a maximalist, right? So if I'm having three guys, I would say I personally would hire Antonio to be the manager. I would take a leap of faith. So I would like to give him an offer. And I will give him, let's say, you know, in his expectation, I would go a little bit around his expectation. Also,
okay, and go hire some more people just to have a team, and then we can proceed with the simulation. Of course, in a real situation, this could take 1 or 2 hours until you decide and you judge the projects and so on.
yeah.
Take some of the ladies. I can tell you that some of them are finance oriented. You can skip the interview if you don't need it.
Sure. So
you ask the questions now, but if you go to another person,
where do you want me to? Let's go to this guy, for example, or this lady. I think she's a finance.
Whichever, okay. And then you can just skip the interview. Don't need to do the interview. You can go on without the interview. And you still got into the make offer. So in a real situation, when you run this simulation, you read, you look at the results, and you judge. You look at your budget, the project requirements, and right now,
yeah. So
I'm is making. Yeah,
I think I need
of course, with these salaries, it's a tricky thing. You know, you might go under the level they ask, but they might not join. And some of the people are shy. They ask, in fact, less what they are happy with. So some of the people you can hire on the minimum, and then they join you, but then they are immediately unhappy with the salary level, because in the background we have a lot of factors of the people. Okay, and by the way, you can look at your colleagues, or allocate the colleagues of the existing 2 people and what they are doing. Can you have a look at that? On the left side, there's another menu point, allocate. So we are still in the first period. We haven't hired the people, but you have 2 colleagues, and you can decide which person is doing some work on the selected projects.
Yeah.
Of course, for this, you need to understand the projects and how much time is outstanding, and also what is the quality and efficiency of working on the project.
Yes.
Because that will give a feedback of how the project is run.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to select project managers. Right now, I suggest that we finish this round. You made some offers,
mm-hmm.
so that we go into the next round and see what's happening when you have a larger team, and then we try with this and other menu points. So let's proceed.
So going ahead, closing the period, I'll start. Look at this as a general manager here. I'm always looking at the cash position. It started with 235. Now I already made some options to hire people. I'm waiting for them to tell me who joined and who declined. I also would want to see my cash position for the next month, because that's going to be a very...
Yes, you have 3 notifications, and as you see, there's even an embedded video. We don't need to look at it now, but some of the background information about leadership is coming to you. Yes, you successfully hired 5 people. Go on with the notice, please. And yeah, you have a conflict. So at the same time, you got messages that's dynamic among your colleagues. So you will see a conflict. We can come back to this later.
Yeah.
And we are behind schedule of the projects. You have a HR advisor and a project manager who is guiding you with some information. So Mohammed, you got strong messages. You hired people, so you need to make some management decisions there. You have a conflict. So even two colleagues from the past, they have. Let's look at the conflicts later. But look at your employees now.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of colleagues. Everybody's happy, great, but they are not yet on projects.
Yeah.
So what you do is you go to allocate employees, and then you judge which project you like to proceed with. Like the market survey is nearly finished. You see, it's 98% accomplished. As far as I know, yeah.
Here. This is where 98%.
Oh no! Sorry, it's not. Can you go to the project overview for a little bit?
Sure.
And yes, the market survey is nearly finished, and the prototype design is a really big job. So I definitely suggest you will allocate people there.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it would be great to start with the other projects.
Yep. So I will look at the prototype design as well as negotiation with partners to see how things are going. So here with the prototype design, the first thing, I actually hired people to work on the prototype design. So here, the IT guy, Jonathan, I will actually ask that he works immediately on the prototype design as well.
And as you said, you put all of his time on that project, because you can allocate 160 hours per month. Mm-hmm. And I see you allocated both people on that project. And what do you do with the other people you hired?
I think she's a finance person, Weiler, so I will ask her to work on the business model development as well as the business plan preparation. She's
a marketing lady.
She's a marketing lady, yes. So I'll ask that she works on the marketing plan as well as some of the negotiation. No, I want the market survey to be done. So I'll have the
and maybe you can make a change with your other two persons.
Absolutely.
Oh, you have another guy also.
I have the total quality management guy that I hired, right? So here, where is him? Yeah. So Thomas is coming here, and I want him for him to work with the operational processes.
Okay. Now, and do you make teams now, or do they work independently on the projects?
I think
like Zach is a really good manager. So maybe you can allocate his resources to different projects and maybe think about him being a project manager in some cases.
Yeah, so I would want him to work on some of the business model development as well as the business plan. No, so that's fine. He can also work on the operational processes. He's knowledgeable as well as here. So I would want him to work on 4 different projects. Not the ideal stage, but I would want my guy who worked with me for 3 months to overlook who is doing what and work with the new guys.
Can you go to the project manager part on the left? Because you need to assign who's the project manager there. Because if there are more than one persons, you need to say who's leading that project. And of course, you need to know the background of the people, how capable they are. Okay.
So here, she's the marketing lady. I'll ask Antonio to be the project manager. Here is Zach, and then Zach, as well as.
Isn't it too much for Zach to be project manager in so many projects?
Maybe, yes. So I'll have Thomas doing that.
Okay, and what about your conflict? Because you had a conflict, you got a message. What this Erica is talking to you. Chief, I think we will miss the project deadline, especially if Zach Siegel, our project manager, piles up the task on my desk. with an earlier deadline and so on and so on and so on. So here you got an exact situation, and I can tell you that this happening because these people have personality description in the background. So every person has like 50 plus dimensions of variables of the personality. We designed it with psychologists so that the conflicts are not scheduled. These are happening based on the composite of your team members and the situation you put them into and what's happening with the projects. So they some of them got frustrated if the results are not good. So here you need to select some kind of option, what you do with this problem.
I think I will take them to dinner. I would like to avoid conflict, right? I'll see what happens, right? Let's take them to dinner, see if that resolves the situation. I don't know.
Okay, and could you please look at the employees, because you might do some, if you go down.
Yep.
You see, you can initiate a psychological examination. Okay, it costs a little money, and also capability assessment. So maybe some of the people you can do it, so we can see the dynamics of that.
Sure, but while I'm doing that, Peter, can you please tell us what is a psychological examination, what is a capability assessment, in order for me to be able to know a little bit what I'm choosing? So what do I see?
Yes, in the background, in the knowledge base, we have extended materials about personality types. And in this simulation, in a simplified way, this is the DISC approach. And that one is described. And in this fictional situation, we send the people for an examination when they do a test. And we got a written information about their psychological profile, how they are behaving, what is important for them, and then you put it into practice. The capability assessment is also test about certain capabilities and skills, and then if you have this information, presumably you will be better in deciding who is doing what kind of job.
Yeah.
And so far we were not touching the trainings, but let's keep it now. Let's move to the next period, so we see some results of what you did, because we run out of time.
One thing I would love to actually show everyone over here on the result, Peter, is we always talk about conflict management as well as motivation. We're all business owners and founders or team managers. It's very important that we understand the psychology of our team members, right? Because at the end of the day, if we're not being able to motivate them, that's going to be a huge risk of them leaving the team and maybe not us not doing what we're doing or what we should do. So here we go with Zach, who I assigned on 3 different projects. He is not feeling good. He feels not really happy. There are conflicts with the team, but I want to actually go, before I go back to the presentation, I want to show that to everyone here on allocating the employees. Right now, what you can see literally on everyone is the DISC profile, for example. When we are doing the assessment for the employees, there are several assessments in the market. One of them is the DISC profile, to know the persona of our employee. So she is the person in the DISC profile. So she likes stability, right? She's an introvert. She's very much focused on people. While Zach, for example, he's an extrovert who likes to work a lot on tasks. Now imagine that you put those 2 personas in the same team, what's going to happen, right? That's going to be a very difficult situation. So understanding the skill set of who is doing what, who is good at logic, who is good in design, innovation, communication, as well as understanding their assessment in terms of their strength and their DISC profile is going to be very critical for us to have the right team dynamics and the right team mix. And I actually wanted to do that to highlight this area. I think when it comes to the simulation itself, it gives us a real feeling of what real life is, to see how people can work together, not only according to their competency, but according to their psychology and how they prefer to work. That's the point I wanted to make.
Yes, and I think we run out of time, and
Yes.
This was just like a quick look at of the simulation, and you can have a feeling that it can make you busy for many hours experimenting. If you just click on the knowledge base, you can see their videos, you can see their references, and at the very end of the simulation, you got also an auto evaluation. So I suggest we go to back to your presentation, because I know you prepared some of the sample endings with past results.
So for our attendees, there can be, those are the options of where you can have. So the first one is not bad, but here, imagine this: your completion rate is almost 70%, which is not good at all. The quality is 90%. But you have two team members. I don't think you'll be able to finish the work with 2 members. So look at the team members, look at the average completion rate and the quality. Here, for example,
can you go back, Mohammed? It's like,
yes.
If you look at you finish with positive cash, but nobody is interested in that. You got the money to do the task, and in this case, if this was one of the results of your rounds, it's not good, because you got a budget to do the task, and as we can see, it was not done. So it was a kind of even from the radar diagram, we see it's not really a great result. How is the next example you have?
The next example is good, but I had to hire 8 people. 2 of them left me, but my project completion ratio was 100%.
But the quality was not
quality was
perfect.
Really,
okay.
Well, 84%, average. My average mood in the team, most likely those guys killed each other at the end of, before they go and ask for investment. So 72%, this is the employee satisfaction, right? And then the last one here was 96% completion rate, 88% quality, but 80% average satisfaction, right? So again, the simulation is measuring so many parameters. The first, and the main 4 is the quality of work that we do, the completion rate of the tasks, the average employee satisfaction reflected as in mood, as well as the team size. Right? What do we end up with the team going forward to ask for investment? And those are the really lifelike situation, if you look at what happens here. So going afterwards, what I would do is I would ask people, so Salma, please tell me in the chat. I see people typing in the chat, so can you please tell me what's happening there?
I was just asking if you are giving access to the simulation. And we had Bakati leaving to get to another meeting, and thank you both, Peter and Muhammad, for the simulation.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So if you guys want to play around, what you can do, I would love for you on your screens right now, just go and scan this QR code. It will take you to a survey. Now we have one of 2 options if you want to play around. The first option is a group play. And for Mindshift, what we are doing is we are going to give a special, this is our special surprise for the day. So for whoever is attending today, you will get to have 1 day complimentary facilitated session with us, where you can play in a team, right? And you can access this simulation as a team, facilitated by us in Mindshift. The second option is to play it individually. And if you're playing it individually, of course, what we will do is when everyone finishes their individual rounds, we will open it for just 3 days. When you finish the individual round, we will have a debriefing consultation for everyone with us. So whatever option you choose, on the QR code, please fill out the options that you choose in order for us to be able to communicate with you. If you're choosing the group play, we will communicate with you to have you in the group session. And if you're doing it individually, please leave your emails to us in order for us to send it to you. On the group play, we will have 4 roles, right? So we will have the CEO, the technical performance director, quality director, as well as the HR and employee satisfaction director. So you'll play in a team of 4, and your task is to have the right mix of indicators that we just discussed now in order for you to get investment, right? So you'll have a team playing that. Let me stop here and see if you guys have any questions, whether we need to answer any of your questions before we go any further.
I'd love to confirm that I also shared the survey link in the chat. So feel free to access it, and we're waiting for your questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Salma. So do we have any questions on here? Instead of typing, you can also unmute yourself if you want.
Perfect. This is Hiba. Could
Hiba.
you please share the link embedded within the QR code as well in the chat box? Because actually I'm on the mobile, so I really cannot scan the QR code.
Sure.
I shared it, Haba, on the chat, and I've just reshared it again.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right. So,
but if you have, I think
go
if you
ahead.
have a problem with the link, you can also just email Mindshift from the website or message Mohammed or Salma directly. So of course it works as well.
Perfect. I see that there are people typing. Salma, do we have any questions?
Not yet. Let me check. Not yet. They are thanking us for the presentation.
Okay.
And people have to leave.
Okay, perfect. So guys, we will take your feedback and we will work on it. So here, let's just remind ourselves that we are having another event here on May, which is going to take place on May 12th. This is around the leadership assessment. So in here in Mindshift, we are basically offering how to work with leadership simulation with Eduardo, as well as the leadership assessment itself. So it's going to be on May 12th. And then I would love for you to also, if you can, follow us, right? So with this, those 2 QR codes, if you can also, Salma, send the links to the attendees here. So if you are on LinkedIn, please go and check the QR codes to follow us, to follow what we're doing. We would love to have you and we would love to connect with you.
Yes. Mohammed, we have a question from Winston. He is saying, normally, how long does it take to give us a brief about the simulation? It seems to have a lot of information to share. Would we give participants certain time to digest the information? Example on the profile and on the employees and etc. He's asking about the duration and if the debriefing time enough. So can you tell us more about the 2 trials or the 2 options we have for the trial?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're having 2 options: the group option and the group session. We will open this access for the group to finish the simulation, and you will have 1 full week to play together, the 4 members to play and to test the simulation. This is the first one. If you're playing individually, though, because it's not going to take such time, we are only opening it for just 3 days in order for you to go and test and try the simulation yourself. Normally, how long does it take for the simulation? It takes around 6 to 8 hours, but with the group, it might actually take more than this. On the group facilitation session, we will open it for 1 day, which is going to be around 6 hours, where we can take your answers and we can actually play for as much as we can. So we will go compete as teams against each other and see how who's the best winning team among the participants. In the individual one, we will have just a debriefing consultation session where we take your inputs, we answer some of your questions, and we also showcase some of the parameters of the simulation if you guys need. Did I answer the question?
I think there was another part of Winston's question, is that if it's a facilitated event, how long does it take to make the first introduction of the case, and that the people can overview the CVs and the initial information? I think minimum 1 hour, 1.5 hour is needed to read through. This is a demanding simulation, no hiding, because you need to get to know to the situation and to the people. Of course, if it's done individually, it's easier to schedule, but if you are together with other people, 1.5 hour is needed at the beginning of the facilitated event to understand where you are.
Perfect. Thank you, Peter. Do we have other questions? Yes, Salma?
Currently, we don't. We just have people thanking us for the session. Thank you, Winston, for your question. Thank you so much.
So guys, thank you very much. We're thrilled to really have you today. We're thrilled to showcase how the simulation can help us have a real lifelike scenario where we can test without really putting our money on the table and testing it in real life. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send to me directly on my Mindshift MENA email. You can also go to our website and send us an email, communicate with us, follow Eduardo as well as Mindshift on LinkedIn. We would love to keep communicating with you. Salma, before I go ahead and close the simulation and stop the recording, do we have other questions?
We don't, but I'd like to say that I would like to see all the participants in the facilitated session and the debriefing. I'd love to see how we play along with the simulation. It's very fun to play along with from a personal perspective and from a personal experience. It's very fun. It's a game. It's very dynamic. So I want to thank you, Muhammad, and I want to thank Peter. You did great. Thank you so much for the session.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity. If you are interested in other simulations, there are demos from Eduardo's website directly beyond of this leadership one. And I wish you a great follow-up with Mindshift sessions, either options you select. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so I'll go ahead and stop the recording. If you guys, we will, after stopping the recording, if you guys have any questions, we're also here for a couple of minutes if you have any questions for us.